All right, so in Java, the next thing that we're going to do is something called a graph creator. So in general, the graph creator create a program that allows users to create a graph with edges and vertices. So this is the idea of it. So imagine this circle is a vertex, and we're going to have labels on it. You're going to be able to create as many of these little vertices as you like, little circles, and then you're going to be able to create the edges between them, also with labels. There's a number of different problems that can be solved this way. You can imagine like airports, routing things. You can imagine this being a map, so like getting directions from one place to another. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of graphs that can be represented this way. So we're going to create a program that we're able to build these. So this is the first part of a section, and then we're going to actually try and solve problems later on using the graph creator from the first project. So later on we're going to check to see if the graphs are connected, like is there some path from 6 to 1. And then after that we're going to try and solve something called a traveling salesman problem using our graph. All right, so the general idea. We're going to have a J panel, which is our drawing area. We're going to have two buttons, one for vertices and one for edges. I'm calling them nodes in this case and edges. Although just keep in mind, like when I say node, that's another name for a vertex. And then the edges are the connections between two of those. When you click on the node button, what you're going to do is click in the JPanel area, and it'll create a circle at that point with the label in a JText field. So there would be JText field off to the side that you can put in a label. So you could label a node A, click in the area, it creates a little circle with an A in it. Maybe you change it to B, click again, it'll have a circle with a B in it. The other thing that you will need to do is when you have an edge, what you'll do is you'll click on the edge button, click on a circle, it'll change the color of that circle, click on a second circle, and it'll actually create an edge between the two with, once again, the label from that JText field. The final thing we're going to do is something called an adjacency matrix, which is basically a way of representing all the connections in a graph using a matrix, basically a two-dimensional array. The idea is that every row and column will be labeled with your nodes. So you'll have, let's say you have A, B, and C. So you'll have 3 columns labeled A, B, and C, 3 rows labeled A, B, and C. For every edge between one of those nodes, you just put a 1 in, and everywhere else you put a 0. So that if there's an edge between A and C, you put in a 1, and that's part of the table. This makes it easier to quickly go through a graph and solve it. So let's begin. New Java project. Graph creator. And I'm going to create a new Java class. Graph creator. It's going to have a public static void main. Here we go. First thing I want to do is new graph creator. Going to create the constructor. And away we go. Going to want a JFrame for this. I'm going to have to import that. So the 3 things again for frames are, I should set its size. Let's see, maybe 600 by 400. We'll try that out, see how that looks. I need to set the default close operation. So it actually closes, and I need to set it visible. Does this work? Yay, it's a frame. I think I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, so I need to create a JPanel class. This is going to be a lot like the traffic simulation, where the JPanel is actually something that I'm going to manually override. So I need another class. Graph panel. And this thing is going to extend JPanel. which I'm going to import. This is going to have a public void paint component again, which takes the graphics G, and that's going to be my drawing area, just like in the road in the traffic simulation. I need to import this. I'm going to call JPanels paint component. So that'll clear it. And then draw my stuff goes here. Make sure you spell component correctly. If you misspell this, you are actually creating a new method called paint component misspelled, and it will not draw your stuff. Another thing I should probably do is just create a constructor for this. At the moment, I don't think I need anything in here. So I'm just going to call JPanels. Eventually, anything that I need to construct goes there. All right. Let's draw one thing real quick just to make sure this is working. I'm just going to do a quick draw line from 0, 0 to 200, 400. So to make sure that this works, I need to create one of these graph panels. So that creates it. I need to set a layout for my frame. I'm going to create a new border layout. I need to import that. And now I'm going to actually take the panel and put it in the center. So I'm going to add panel to border layout dot center. Look, it's a line. Good, that works. The next thing I need is I need 2 buttons, and I'm going to need a text field. So let's go ahead and create those. The first one I'm going to do is going to be my node button. I'm going to do node B for node button. I'm going to import that. Then I'm going to create another J button for edges. This will be edge. And then the last thing I'm going to want is a J text field. What should I call this? Maybe labels? There's a new J text field. So I need to actually put these together. I'm going to put them on the left side in mine. So let me create a new container. Let's see, left is west in most maps. I need to import container. It's in AWT. And I should probably give it some sort of layout. I think that I'm going to do a grid layout. So west is going to have a new grid layout. I think 3.1 is rows and columns. If it screws up, I'll just switch those. I'm going to add my 3 buttons into the layout, into the container. And now that I've added those 3 in, I need to add west into the frame. There we go.